Hey there, it's Jamie from Not So Wimpy Teacher. Today I want to dive in and give you one of my favorite tips for helping students to use reasons and examples in their opinion writing. So when I first started teaching opinion writing, I did the Oreo writing, right? And you brought Oreos and you told them that they needed their opinion statement, reasons, and then they needed examples and they should triple stuff it. And it was cute and my students enjoyed eating the Oreos, but the writing samples, they didn't get better. What I found was my students didn't have any idea what the difference was between a reason and an example. It really wasn't very clear to them how they were related. And that was my fault because I didn't help them to understand it. So here is one of my very favorite tips and strategies for making sure your students understand reasons and examples. First and foremost, every student isn't going to get it 100%. And I think that's really important because then it makes you go, okay, if every one of my students isn't going to understand reasons and examples to mastery, what would be the most important thing that I'd want them to understand? Like, what's the priority then? If everyone's not going to get it to mastery, where do I want to spend the bulk of my time? And I realized it's reasons. If my students were to write an essay that had 2 or 3 reasons, it would be a much better paper than if they hadn't used it at all, even if there were no examples. And so I started teaching reasons and examples separately. I think this is so important. I was teaching them all together one day and expecting my students to understand the difference, but that was confusing them. So instead I would start with reasons. Really early in our opinion unit, we're going to start talking about reasons. And the best way to explain reasons is to just ask why. Why is that so? Why do you think that? Why do you feel that? And that's when they start coming up with their reasons. And we go ahead and work on reasons for a while. We keep coming up with more reasons and we draft out these reasons. And I don't bring up examples until several lessons have gone by where we've talked about reasons. I want them to master reasons. It's so important to me. Then we can bring up examples. And it's important when I bring in examples that I start saying, okay, our reasons will be stronger if we have an example for each one. So we want to start with just one reason. Okay? And then we're going to say, do you have an example of a time you felt that way? Do you have an example of why that's true? This is a much more challenging question. So this is the higher level thinking. And all of my students are going to be challenged to try it, but not all of my students are going to get there the first time, the first essay, and that's okay. But if I've started with reasons that we at least have our opinion backed up by reasons, then I think we're well on our way. And then I can bring in the examples later. And so I think this is really important. Of course, I'm going to give them lots of examples. I'm going to show them lots of mentor text where there are reasons and examples. But the best tip I can give you for helping your students use reasons and examples is to stop teaching it in one day. Break it apart, spend lots of time on reasons because it's more important, and then go into the examples, bringing that into their writing and challenging them in that way, but recognizing that some of your students are going to need to write 2, 3, 4 opinion essays before they get there. And that's okay because that's how we learn. So I hope that helps break apart that lesson. If you're not sure about the different lessons to teach inside of your opinion writing unit or any of your writing units, I have a special gift for you. I have a free guide, What to Teach in Writing. And I go through informational, opinion, personal narrative, and fiction narrative, and give you each and every lesson you should teach with some examples about how to teach it. So if you're still not really sure about reasons and examples, make sure you grab this guide. If you're just not sure what order to teach things in, or if you're teaching all the lessons your students need, grab this guide. It's really helpful. I'm going to put a link to it in the video description, so make sure you grab it. Also, make sure you've subscribed to this YouTube channel. We're adding videos all the time. I want to make sure you have all of my best tips and strategies to make teaching just a little bit easier and more engaging for your students. Have a not so wimpy day.